Jeff, I missed yesterday when you talked about the jhana correlation to the chakras. I missed the first and the fourth. Could you just do a quick review?
The first and the fourth?
Of the chakra to jhana correlation?
So the first chakra is the fourth. That's right, you were not present. So the first chakra I correlate with the opening of the heart chakra, which is the fourth chakra. And the reason why is because there's a bliss component.
The fourth jhana? The fourth chakra?
No, first jhana and the fourth chakra map onto each other. Below that, it's all about obsessive compulsive behavior.
Okay.
And that was one of my other take-home messages is most of the people who talk about Kundalini seem to know about as little about Kundalini as most of the people who talk about jhana know about jhana, which is next to nothing. So, the Kundalini people say, oh, you got to start with the first, chakra and work your way up. And that part of the story you didn't hear is it took me a year to get from the first chakra to the fourth chakra. And I spent a great deal of time on the third chakra, and all I had was indigestion from meditating on my third chakra. And it wasn't until I got to the fourth chakra that I realized I had been wasting my time completely meditating on the lower three chakras. The lower three chakras are all about obsessive compulsive behavior disorders, which we all have in abundance. And the whole reason why we take up a contemplative life or a spiritual life is to overcome, that addictive behavior. And so let's start with the heart chakra. It'll be more productive if we do. All right, so...
and that corresponds with the second jhana.
So first...
No, second jhana would be the throat chakra.
Second. Third.
Right. First, and jhana-wise, first, second, third, fourth.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
More
and I think, work with it.
Spiritual nature.
Work with it and see. Maybe it'll be different for you.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to remember because you had said Teresa of Avila but that was the first. She was experiencing the bliss.
Right.
That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And then she kept going from there. Yeah. That's why she wrote her Interior Castle, which is about 7 stages of the religious experience. Now the Buddha had 8 stages of the religious experience, and Buddhist commentators who really are not contemplatives and who really don't understand the religious experience have said that, well, Teresa of Avila didn't make it all the way. And my response is, well, obviously they don't know what they're talking about. The Teresa of Avila just didn't recognize the first, because almost everybody can get to the first. The first is where you go to church and the choir sounds nice and, oh, that was a nice sermon, and you feel, you feel a little bit of opening of the heart. And, I mean, not as profound as Teresa of Avila's story, but, most of us can go to a religious ritual or ceremony of some kind.
We used to call it Rocky Mountain High. You go to camp and get the guitar out and...
There you go.
Yeah.
Right.
Kumbaya, my Lord.
Right, all that. And you know what? I think, I've had a number of conversations with people over in the last few months about how can we make jhana accessible to everybody. And how we can do that is by starting with some singing. Because, we can get people to the first jhana with a little bit of devotional music.
Yeah.
And that what I was hoping to get together with... No, that gentleman in Altoona.
Oh, Ernest.
Ernest was, he's a musician. He's interested in devotional music, and he's doing that whole Vaishnava thing. What I wanted to do is incorporate that musical component. Start with that.
Like kirtan.
Right, kirtan. Get if we start with that, with music, we'll get to that first jhana. Then when we're done with singing, let's meditate. There's a group in Tucson that's been getting together for about 15 years that does chanting every Wednesday. And they chant for an hour, and then they're done. They go, right? Most of them are contemplatives. And so I've gone to the chanting thing, and for me it's like, okay, it's a little redundant. How much singing do you have to get to the first jhana? All you need is 1 or 2 songs, and you're there. So now let's stop singing. Let's meditate. they're not interested in that, you know. So that's something we could do. We could. All we need is a musician who could come play some devotional music, get us to the first jhana, all of us to the first jhana, and then we sit and meditate, and we move from the first, you know, on up to whatever level.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think that's how we can make it accessible to everybody. And part of that is set and setting, right? The devotional music is part of that set and setting, and we could, you know, have also the environment different, you know, like a meditation hall. You know, I think religious institutions, you know, nail down that set and setting. You know, especially the old style ones, like, you know, the Zen monastery with the comb gravel or sand area. You know, that's a set and setting that is conducive to the contemplative life. Same with you know, the old Catholic churches and monasteries. A lot of them are really conducive to entering into contemplation. But the thing is, you know, the Catholic Church has no idea what meditation and contemplation is about, because they weren't listening to John on the cross when he was there teaching. They're busy throwing him in prison and beating him. You know, dungeons and stuff, right? So. And Buddhism is the same way. You know, they're not interested in their mystics. Religions aren't interested in their mystics. They're just interested in the donation stream, right? It's a